Welcome back to episode number 2 of our Fernando Alonso Career Mode on F124. So just getting straight into it. Last episode, we invested a little bit into the aerodynamics department. This time, we're going to invest a little bit into the powertrain department just to try to get that straight line speed up a little bit compared to the rest of the field. So that upgrade should be going on after Australia. Hopefully it goes on the car with no issues. But ready for round 2 in Jeddah now, Formula One's fastest track of the calendar. And so far, the car is not feeling very good. All throughout practice, the car felt really understeered. It felt very heavy, just very heavy and bloated and wide. It's just not one adjective you'd want to use describing a Formula One car. But overall, definitely just understeering through a lot of corners. Front end response time when turning in is also really lacking. It feels really sluggish when I'm trying to throw the car into a corner. But by the end of practice, I did get a setup down that's a lot more drivable. It took a lot of tweaking, but I finally got there. So hopefully it's drivable throughout the race, but first we're going to go to qualifying.
Welcome to the Jeddah Corniche, one of the fastest circuits on the calendar.
All right, here we are in Q1. Again, we're doing all 3 qualifying sessions for this entire season of this career mode, but we're only doing 1 lap just at the very end of Q1. I'm not really too concerned getting out of this qualifying session, so we're just doing 1 lap right at the very end. We're going to reuse these same tires for our first lap in Q2 just to save the soft compound tires, try to save a set for the race. We set a 1:29.4 at the end of Q1. That takes us out of qualifying 1 and on to the second session. So in qualifying 2 now, obviously we're going to do 1 lap at the very beginning of the session and 1 lap at the very end of the session. This is our first lap, kind of a banker time. We'll see what we set here. Slower than our first lap in Q1. It's a 1:29.9. So we're definitely going to have to improve by at least a couple tenths to look for a good exit into Q3. But that was also on a set of used tires. That was the first set of tires we used in Q1, and we used that for our first lap in Q2. So our final lap in qualifying 2 now, and we're definitely feeling a lot faster on this brand new set of tires. So purple in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2 now as well, and definitely absolutely flying on this lap. This is looking like probably a first place finish in Q2. This is definitely a really fast lap so far. Again, the car's just handling so much better. You can see that rotation into that final corner is just so much smoother than practice. Practice was like a complete disaster. But anyway, up to the line, we set a 1:28, a high 1:28, and that's a really good lap to put in at the end of Q2. So time to improve on that in Q3. So again, we're going to be doing 1 banker lap at the very beginning of the session and 1 push lap at the very end. We're stuck behind Verstappen. Oh, Verstappen lets us go now onto our first push lap. It looks like, I guess he's going to be pulling into the pit lane. I don't know why he'd let us go in front. Maybe if he wants to keep behind in the slipstream, but we'll see. He's still behind us, so he's pushing as well. But yeah, so again, this is on a used set of soft compound tires, so we're not even on a new set. So this should be a pretty slow lap, I would imagine, compared to my my last lap times. I want to try to save a set of softs for the race, considering Jeddah is a very high-risk circuit. So if there's any type of safety car or something, I want the softs just to have as an option. Verstappen going up the inside at the very final corner of both of our qualifying laps, our first qualifying laps. Kind of a dick move. I guess I also kind of left him a little bit too much space, but Verstappen sets a 1:29.6, and that's technically the fastest lap. He was definitely slowed up being behind me on that first lap, and I was definitely slowed up by him through that final corner. So on our fresh set of soft compound tires now, and we're going to see what kind of times we can do. The car is definitely behaving the way I want it to right now. You can see not really leaving any margin for error, using the full width of the track as close to the walls as I can get. Purple through Sector 1 on the straight now, DRS enabled, and we're going to see our Sector 2 time in a second here. Purple in Sector 2 as well, so definitely a really fast lap. Look at the rotation through there. Definitely my cleanest lap of all the practice or all the qualifying sessions so far. Looks like really close to the wall and exit right there, but we keep it out of the wall on the straight now. DRS enabled, running up to the line. We'll see what kind of time we can do. It's a 1:28.6, which I believe is going to be enough, and we get pole position for round 2 of our Fernando Alonso career mode. Pole in round 1 and pole in round 2.
We're here today on the shores of the Red Sea in the Lower Hejaz Mountains to visit one of the newest circuits on the Formula One calendar. We're in Jeddah, home to what we all hope is going to be a thrilling Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Fernando Alonso yesterday puts him on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Russell, Norris, Sainz, Hamilton, Albon, Bottas, Joe, Stroll, Ocon, Gasly, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid.
All right, on the grid now, checking out our race strategy. We're going to be doing the one stop, so 11 laps on mediums and 14 laps is our last stint on the hard compound tires. So I did save a set of brand new softs for this race, just in case we get a safety car, which around Jeddah is not unlikely. I wouldn't say it's probable, but it's definitely not unlikely. It's a high-speed circuit with not a lot of room for error. So 5 red lights are coming on, hopefully no safety car, no incidents, and we are racing for round 2 in Jeddah. Really good start, not a lot of wheel spin off the line. It feels like I'm so much faster off the line. No indication that anyone's even close to me. Into the first corner, and we keep the lead, so no problem whatsoever. You can see everyone bunched up behind me, and a couple people going 3 wide into that corner. But overall, a very clean getaway from Fernando Alonso, leading the pack through the first couple of corners. But I do think we're going to have to do a lot of defending this race. Last race in Bahrain, if you didn't see that race, we had a lot of defending the entire time, pretty much every single lap at the end of the straight. We were having someone make a move around the outside or up the inside, and always constantly defending. And it looks like we're going to have to start defending at the end of lap 1. Oscar Piastri is looking for a move around the outside. We're going to go a little bit wide here, trying to box him out. That's a pretty simple defense right there. Just try to go a little bit wide, keep him out from, swooping around the outside. And it looks like we might get a run on us into turn 1 from Piastri or Verstappen. Coming into the braking zone now, and it looks like both of them are not going to be close enough to go for any type of move up the inside, around the outside, anything of that nature. So luckily we keep Fernando Alonso in the lead for one more lap, finishing lap 2 now around the final corner right here. Verstappen is very close behind. He looks like he could be a threat at the end of the main straight. A little mistake at the final corner right there, and we're starting lap 3 with Verstappen on our tails. It looks like he's going to pass us well before the braking zone. He kind of ducks out of that move up the inside right now. We're side by side to the braking zone. He has the inside, we have the outside, and we're going to try to swoop around Verstappen right now. It looks like it's not enough. We leave him a little bit too much space on the inside of that corner right there. Now it's a drag race up to the turn 4, I believe. Verstappen backs out of that. Luckily, at the very last second, that could have been very messy if we were side by side through that corner. So it's already getting a little racy in the opening laps. Heading into Sector 3 on lap 3 now. So far, the car is continuing to handle very nicely. There's really good front-end rotation. Overall, definitely feel very planted, a lot of grip, and overall good balance of downforce. But it looks like straight line speed is still lacking around the final corners, especially into the final corner of the lap. This straight especially, Verstappen is just flying up the inside, pretty much doing whatever he wants. We go wide, and that invites Piastri up the inside as well. So now we have 2 cars to worry about, and it's a drag race for second and third place. Verstappen is in the lead now, and maybe we can go for a move up the inside of Verstappen. We switch to the outside, late braking now, try to swoop around the outside. The outside turns to the inside, and we take that from Verstappen, box him out on the outside of the corner, and just squeeze the door shut on Verstappen behind. And that was a very nice move on lap 4 now, turning into lap 5 across the line right here. Verstappen is again looking like he's shaping up for a move, potentially up the inside this time. Late braking goes Verstappen up the inside, and we leave him a lot of space to avoid any type of incident. Side by side again through this corner, and yet again up until what? Is it turn 3 or turn 4? I don't remember. Verstappen takes the lead in front. So this time around, Verstappen is going to get to lead a full lap instead of just on one of the straights. So this is maybe a little bit concerning. We're going to have to see if we can keep up with Verstappen pace-wise. As you can see, we are, I guess, doing a pretty good job of it. The DRS zones around this track are super helpful. Anytime you lose in the dirty air of another car, the DRS really helps you make up for it. So not having a problem sticking with Verstappen at all. Looking for a move up the inside, switch yet again to the outside, braking at the 100-meter board, and again swooping around the outside, leaving enough space for Verstappen. This time closing the door as fast as we can. He tucks in to the slipstream behind, and we're ahead of Verstappen yet again. So It's a lot of defending so far, a lot of swapping places with Verstappen, so this might be a long race. At the end of lap 6 now, it looks like Verstappen might yet again go for a move into the final corner of the lap. I don't know why he keeps doing this, because it gives me DRS on the main straight and an opportunity to overtake into turn 1. Perez looking for a move around the outside as well. We're going to do the same thing we did to Piastri on lap 1, just go ahead and go a little bit wide and box out Sergio Perez. Him and Piastri are drag racing behind me now, but now I have DRS and the slipstream on Max Verstappen ahead. It looks like we might be a little bit too far. I'm thinking about a move, but deciding against it at the last second, unfortunately kind of compromising my own racing line into the corner. But yeah, just a little bit too far back from Verstappen this time around to make a move stick. But so far, we're doing pretty well keeping up with them. This is 1 lap in front now. Not really losing time to him, but pretty much just stuck in the dirty air, probably 3 or 4 tenths behind consistently throughout the lap. This is lap 10 now, and you can see we still haven't really made any headway. Pretty much 2 to 4 tenths behind Verstappen throughout the entirety of the lap. So the DRS is helping, but the dirty air is obviously not helping, especially into certain high-speed corners. It makes the turn in a lot trickier and just a lot easier to have a good, clean run through a corner. So at the end of lap 10 now, almost lap 11, into the final corner, it looks like maybe we can go for a move on the main straight. Our pit window is going to be opening this lap, so DRS and slipstream going to maybe use a little bit of the battery, but there's not really much we have to spare, so relying fully on DRS. Just a little bit of battery at the end here. Maybe we can go for a move around the outside, late braking, swooping around the outside of Verstappen, side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. And yet again, Verstappen is just, he's too stubborn in front. I can't really get around him. Not any room to make a move into here, locking up into this corner. And we really have to go for a move at some point on this lap. I want to get in front of Verstappen before we both go into the pit lane. He's probably going to pit as well, given he's also on the medium compound tire. So it's now or never if we can get a move done before we both switch to the hard compound tires. DRS is enabled. I have to go for a move, maybe into the final corner, maybe something up the inside, late braking as late as I can without locking up the inside. Verstappen goes a little bit wide, actually a little bit of contact with the wall from Verstappen right there, but we make the move stick, and now we're ahead of Verstappen heading into the pit lane, so that was the last possible second to make a move to take the lead right there. So both of us are going to be switching to the hard compound tires. I highly doubt that Verstappen's switching to 2 stints with softs. That would be pretty much shooting yourself in the foot at this stage in the race. But yeah, you can see, leaving the pit lane, no pit stop issues this time around. In Bahrain, we had a very slow stop for our first stop, and that was almost something that could have ruined the race for us, but we made it through and got that win in Bahrain. So looking for a win in Jeddah as well. The first thing we have to do to get to that win is warm up these hard compound tires. They're definitely still a little bit cool. They're definitely more grippy than the mediums. Obviously, my tire grip was definitely falling off a cliff. At the end of lap 12 now, it looks like Verstappen is maybe going to go for a move again into the final corner. He decides against it, so he might be smartening up a little bit. Instead of going for a move into the final corner, he's going to wait to get DRS on the main straight. I'm left with nothing to defend with but straight line speed and my battery, which is obviously not going to be enough. Verstappen flies past me well before the braking zone, braking at 100 meters now, turning into the corner. And this is the largest margin that Verstappen has passed me into turn 1. So we might have a little bit of work to do to catch up. We're going to have to see. Lap 13 now. A little bit wide through here, that sweeping left-hand corner. And we're definitely still keeping a lot of grip from these new hard compound tires. It definitely feels a lot more smooth driving through here. Still in the dirty air, but getting very close to Verstappen right there. Only 2 tenths behind and having DRS on this twisty section of kind of wide lefts and rights. Maybe we can go for a move into the first quarter of Sector 3. It's going to be a little bit sketchy. Not really a conventional spot to overtake up the inside. Really good move. A lot of wheel spin on exit. And Verstappen gets us on the switchback. So really, it was well executed, but unfortunately, just that wheel spin on exit kept us from making that move stick. I'm going to want DRS on the main straight, so I'm going to lift off the throttle a little bit, let Verstappen go across the line first, and now I'm going to have DRS on the main straight, and I'm very close to Verstappen on exit. Just DRS. I don't think I even need battery here. I think just DRS and the slipstream is going to be enough. Switching to the outside very aggressively, braking at 100 meters right now, and side by side through turn 1 and turn 2 with Verstappen really close. Side by side, gonna again just try to squeeze him out, close the door on exit, and onto the straight now into turn 3/4, whatever number quarter that is, because I don't remember. But that was a very clean move to the outside. A lot of space is left every time I do that outside overtake. I really don't want to have any type of incident where Verstappen locks up or something on the inside and then he ends up slamming into my side pod. So it looks like Verstappen, yet again, lap 14 heading into 15, is going to go for a move around the outside on the final corner of lap 14. So we're going to have DRS yet again on the main straight, and I think we're going to do a rinse and repeat of what we've done countless times in this race so far. Fernando Alonso takes the fastest lap in the slipstream, aggressively switched to the outside right there, braking at 100 meters and leaving plenty of space for Verstappen, going around the outside, which turns to the inside for turn 2, and now accelerating on that straight, and we get past Verstappen. So we've done it again and again and again, but Verstappen is just not smartening up, and he's not going for that overtake on the main straight into turn 1. So if he were to be doing that, we might be in a different situation this race. But anyway, lap 17 now, and again, pressure from Verstappen behind. It looks like he's going to go for a move yet again into the final corner of lap 17, and it's going to give us DRS on the main straight. So it's just a constant back and forth with me and Verstappen this entire race, really wide through the final corner right there, and unfortunately definitely losing a little bit of time to Verstappen in front, but it looks like it's going to be no problem whatsoever. Again, switching to the outside, and again, that turns to the inside for us in the next corner, and we can kind of squeeze the door shut on Verstappen behind. So really constant exchanging of first and second place on the main straight. Pretty much every single lap so far this race, I've been back and forth with Verstappen, first and second on the main straight. Lap 19 now, and Verstappen is definitely getting a little bit closer, especially in these DRS zones. It's hard to keep him behind. You can see him absolutely fly past into the final corner. He's definitely pretty decently far ahead into that braking zone. So now, again, we are going to have DRS on the main straight and go for a move into turn 1. Absolutely sending it past Verstappen up the inside this time. And nothing he can do in front of him well before the braking zone. And that's a pretty easy move done. Pretty nonchalant up the inside. On lap 20 now, purple to the first sector. I'm really just trying to focus on putting in fast lap times to keep Verstappen behind, maybe try to keep him out of DRS range. You can see just over a second, 9/10 to a second behind is the gap right now. 2 laps later on lap 22, Verstappen is still 6/10 behind me. Unfortunately, I think that's probably within striking distance of the final corner before we get to the main straight. You can see he's getting really close. The time on the top left is just flying, and he passes me up the inside into the final corner. And yet again, we find ourselves behind Max Verstappen on the main straight. DRS is now enabled, and we're going to go for a move. You guessed it, into turn 1. If we're close enough, it looks like we actually might not be close enough this time around. Up the inside, late braking, and he closes the door, just not close enough to Verstappen this time around. So kind of a change of pace. Verstappen is now leading a full lap instead of just on the main straight, and this is lap 23 of 25. So we're definitely going to have to at least manage our battery, try to get past him, and still have enough battery to fight on the main straight when Verstappen passes us eventually into that final corner. And potentially that could be coming on the last lap of the race. Really trying everything we can to get past Verstappen here, a little bit wide, maybe looking for a move around the outside, but unfortunately that turn is just, it's too high speed and sweeping to go for a move like that. Really putting the pressure on into this corner, in the dirty air, braking, making sure we don't slam into the back of Verstappen's car and damage our front wing, but definitely getting very racy. We can maybe go for a move again into that first corner of Sector 3. We tried it earlier this race, and it didn't work out. Maybe we can make it stick this time. Late braking up the inside. Perfect execution of that move this time around. Absolutely flying up the inside of Verstappen right there. That was an absolute beauty. Not a very conventional spot to overtake, but Verstappen is going to strike back pretty much right away. He's going to go up the inside into the final corner of lap 23, and now we are going to be entering our second to last lap of the race, and we're going to be in second place with Verstappen still in front. In the slipstream and DRS enabled, we should make this pretty easy. Switching to the outside yet again, like we always do, braking at 100 meters. Really late under braking here, trying to stick the corner, give Verstappen the least amount of space I possibly can, squeezing him out on exit. And again, side by side through those corners is most likely going to end up with me in front as I take the inside on the exit right there. But what I'm thinking about is the strategy for the last lap is going to be very interesting because Verstappen passes me every time up the inside into that final corner of the lap. So on the last lap, I'm not going to have enough room with DRS and a slipstream and full usage of the battery to pass him before we get to the finish line. Maybe into turn 1 I can get him, and not into the finish line. So I'm thinking this lap, we're really going to have to lock in, try to get a really fast lap, and just try to build up that gap as much as we can. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. He's about 5/10 behind. We've seen him come back from 5/10 into the final corner before. So it looks like it's going to be Verstappen up the inside, or sorry, around the outside this time around. And we're going to have DRS yet again on the main straight. But now we're starting our final lap of the race. Big kick of oversteer on the corner exit right there. And that might be a very big mistake if we can't pass Verstappen on the main straight right here. But it looks like no problem at all. Using the battery, using DRS in the slipstream, late braking, side by side on the outside again, turning to the inside. Going to squeeze out Verstappen right here on this small straight yet again. So carbon copies of what we've done all race long. It's been constant battling with Max Verstappen back and forth on the main straight. The entire race it's been like this. There's not been one break. Nobody else is in sight. You can see Piastri's almost 7 seconds behind us. So it's quite literally a 1v1 for the win in this race in Jeddah for round 2 of this career mode. But we're just trying to build up as much of a gap as we possibly can to Verstappen behind. It's looking like 7/10 right now, which is very strong, but he tends to make up a lot of time in this upcoming DRS zone of Sector 2. So I'm thinking if we're ahead of Verstappen into that final corner, we might have a chance to win the race. But if he passes us into that final corner, I think it's going to be game over. I'm not going to have enough battery, and DRS is just not going to be enough physical space on track to get me past Verstappen before the finish line. But really good run through here. This last couple corners of the lap onto this small straight right now. Very close behind. Verstappen is, what, 3 tenths behind. We've seen him come from 6 tenths and pass us into this corner. It's looking like he could definitely make a move up the inside. I guess he decides against it for some reason. He locks up a little bit into that corner. Around the final corner now on the main straight on the last lap. Verstappen in the slipstream with DRS. He's going to have battery as well. But it looks like it's not going to be enough. And we take home our 2nd win of the season. So 2 wins back-to-back for Fernando Alonso. Crazy race with Verstappen. We were battling the entire time. That was a crazy race. Alright, so a little bit more of a challenge than Bahrain. This time we were having to defend and also attack, pretty much constantly swapping places with Verstappen on that main straight. So a lot of overtaking into turn 1 and a lot of defending from Verstappen attacking behind as well. But yeah, 2 wins in a row for Fernando Alonso. So if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Episode 3 coming out soon, and I'll see you in the next one.